Giant reptilian aliens from planet Teetonia abducted Italian man 11 times and told him secrets. Pier Zanfretta claimed that he had been abducted by aliens from a planet called Teetonia 11 times between 1978 and 1981. They reportedly had incomprehensible conversations with him and showed strange creatures from other galaxies. Before 1978, Pier Fortunato Zanfretta had been an ordinary man, living in the village of Tortilla near Genoa, Itlay. He worked as a night watchman in a rural village and nothing mysterious or strange happened in his life. On the night of December 6, 1978, Zanfretta was on his duty, patrolling around Tortilla in his car as usual. It was a cold and dark night, and it had snowed the day before. As he was driving on the snowy road, his car suddenly stopped. Then, he saw 4 mysterious lights coming from the nearby house, and he thought they were flashlights of a burglar, trying to break into the house of Dr. Ettore Righi. Zanfretta approached cautiously and checked in the backyard of the house, from where the glow was coming. He saw a large red oval UFO about 10 meters long was standing on the grass, which ultimately changed his life forever. Zanfretta soon realized that it wasn't trespassing, and it was enough for him to call his supervisor. As he tried to run away from there, he was encountered by a huge creature, 10 feet tall. It was standing so close to him that literally hung over him. Zanfretta said that it was an enormous, green, ugly and frightful creature, with undulating skin, as though it was very fat or dressed in a loose, gray tunic. Its skin was spotty and covered with scales like a reptile, large claws were visible on his hands and feet, and thorns protruded from his head. Its eyes were yellow and triangular. The scaly skin was wrinkled and frayed as if the creature was very old. In general, the creature looked so grotesque and frightening that Zanfretta immediately rushed away, barely catching his breath. But he did not manage to run far, because the reptilian released a heat beam at him, and the man fell unconscious. When he woke up, many people were around him, whom he did not know. It turned out that the other guards heard him screaming and called for help on the radio. When they found him, there was no one else around. Zanfretta was in a state of shock and even drawing his pistol to them as if he was going to shoot them. His clothes were very warm, despite he was lying on the cold ground, and that was just the first strange detail. As soon as Zanfretta calmed down, he told the police what he had seen. The police contacted the Italian military police, the Carabinieri, and they arrived at the scene and found some physical evidence left after the encounter. There were large footprints on the ground, burnt trees' barks, and strange deep imprints, similar in shape to a horseshoe. A survey of local residents showed that some people saw UFOs or unusual celestial phenomena that night. It turned out that at some point, Zanfretta managed to fire 5 shots from his pistol, although he himself did not remember anything about it. Almost immediately, the story was in Italian newspapers and on TV. Many people took the story seriously, and a journalist from Corriere Mercantile named Rino Di Stefano decided to fully cover the investigation into the case. Stefano asked Zanfretta about the details of the incident, and he honestly told him every single thing that had happened to him that night. He suspected that Zanfretta had some lost memories of that night and suggested him to undergo a session of regressive hypnosis. Under hypnosis, Zanfretta recalled that reptile-looking aliens had taken him to their spaceship, where they examined him and interrogated using an interpreter device. The reptilians allegedly told him that they came from the planet Teetonia, located in the 3rd galaxy. They also said that they would return to Earth in the future in even greater numbers. On December 26, 1978, he again went on a night patrol, and again at some point, his car stalled on the road. And then, something took control of the car while Zanfretta was inside and briskly rolled along the road, taking him away from the houses. Then the car stopped, and Zanfretta saw that everything around him was in blinding white light. He was again taken aboard the ship, questioned about something with an uncomfortable helmet on his head. The aliens even examined his pistol, firing it into the wall of the ship. They also offered him to fly with them to Teetonia, but the man refused and was released. 6 months passed, and Zanfretta was again in the news. He said he had been again abducted by the reptilians in July 1979, but it was different from previous abductions. He was taken into deep space in a spaceship, where he saw frog-like creatures, lying in an antibiotic capsule. He was told that those creatures were enemy species. He also saw in similarly suspended capsules a bird-like creature and a creature similar to a primitive ancient man. When Zanfretta was returned to Earth, he was presented with an unusual artifact, a golden tetrahedron that rotated, performing an obscure function. He said that he hid it in a special place and refused to show this artifact to other people. A few years later, Zanfretta admitted that he had been kidnapped at least 11 times between 1978 and 1981. Some of those contacts were so bizarre that he could not understand what they wanted from him. He was often shown various unusual creatures, but for what purpose, he never found out. He appeared on many Italian TV shows and programs, talking about his encounters with reptilians, and this case became the most famous ufological incident in Italy.